Today I will be discussing just one general topic, that of haters. Could be subtitled Haters Validate. Could be subtitled Think for Yourself. It could be subtitled Don't Follow the Crowd. And then at the end, I'll give you three other great sources for additional research. First, I'll make a comment about myself. I am a father and a husband. In the last 10 years, I've really given a lot of my passion to researching global economy and real estate markets. But that's morphed into the last 3 years plus, specifically in the crypto, Bitcoin, and blockchain related industry. And a lot of my views have changed or evolved or grown into really desiring to have specific sound financial fundamentals based on hard money, what's known as hard money. There's no harder money than Bitcoin because it's strictly based on math. 1 + 1 = 2, and that will never change. And that's different from the way I was taught as a child, the way that most of the entire world is taught as children, because the global economy is really based on credit and debt, and it's a debt-based economy, and it's very the global debt, it's so great that now it's hard to specify the amount. The U.S., for example, has over 21 trillion of debt, but that doesn't count social programs or derivatives. Very credible, experienced, highly regarded individuals really suggest that it's 200 to 400 trillion and maybe even more. But long story short, I have spent a lot of time and passion just researching my own personal questions having to do with just what affects my own personal pocketbook. And I've learned a lot, and now I'm really against debt. I mean, I'm not against debt in the sense that you can borrow other people's money to gain the rights to purchase something that may bring a stream of positive income. I'm not saying I'm against that kind of debt, but just debt when it gets right down to it. I really promote that everybody should have more net worth than what they owe. I'm really against using high interest credit cards, buying cars on credit, unless it can, bring you positive cash flow, that sort of thing. So that in a nutshell. But the comments that I want to make right now just have to do with just the state of affairs of the crypto, Bitcoin, and blockchain market. Obviously, we all know that Bitcoin itself is in the sub 4,000 territory. I think that it could go below 3,000. At this point, my own opinion, for whatever it's worth, I think it will go below 3,000. And the reason why I say that is because I take a macro view, and we should all do our own research. Do your own research. This is not advice. It's all opinion. But the way that I look at things, I take a macro point of view, meaning, well, let me just posit it like this. I believe that the market in crypto is all being set up and manipulated to ratchet the value of the entire market as a whole to much lower. For example, the sub 3,000 Bitcoin, and I say that because It's all being set up for an absolute, practically unforeseen or unseen, unheard of rise in the crypto economy, because the things that are coming forward with futures trading, with really institutional investing, all of the infrastructures that are being built, and all of the people that are on board just waiting for these things to take place. For example, the SEC clearance. It hasn't happened yet that, like, Backed, BAKKT, that trading platform has not gotten a go-ahead on, CFTC approval for. They're going to begin doing futures trading of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. In other words, they'll be able to market to investors and to individuals like you and I, with having to do with their 401ks, other investments, and they will be able to derivatize it. It'll be derivatives. In other words, they won't actually have to have the investments in their pockets. They'll be able to leverage Bitcoins, but not have custody of the coins themselves, but they'll be able to wager on the Bitcoin market without having to have the actual Bitcoins in their pockets. So that's going to be huge. I don't necessarily promote it, but it's a natural fact that it will definitely have an effect on the Bitcoin and crypto market as a whole, and we'll see some skyrocketing movement. It's going to happen eventually. In 3 to 5 years, I think it's pretty much absolute cinch that Bitcoin will be at least 100,000 each, and I see that eventually one Bitcoin will eventually be 2 to 5. Well, I'll say 2 to 3 million. That'll be years down the road, most likely. But as I've been commenting or researching, I see a lot of people from the legacy system, people who have been entrenched in, banking and investments and stock markets and derivative trading or day trading or the lending niche, or things that products that have been here for decades. Even many of those people have had a lot of financial success, and they can prove it by the houses they own, or the trust funds they have, or the things that they've purchased that they have title to. There's been a lot of success financially under that debt-based economy, but they have been, like I see on LinkedIn or in subreddits, some of the comments, or other social platforms, especially Twitter is a good one. You see a lot of comments, but when I see a lot of ridiculous things to me that are being said, like, oh, it's gonna die, or it was good while it lasted, or how'd that work out for you, I chuckle. And I'm not necessarily bad talking these people. What I'm saying is just that there's a lot of that out there, and I chuckle because it really validates, the haters validate what is eventually going to happen. We see so much of the on-ramping that will very, very clearly take place within 60, 90 days and 6 months, that has everything to do with some good price positivity, some extra. What I want is to see more adoption for you and I. That'll be fundamental things that will take place that will, legitimize the nuances of cryptos, which is to have peer-to-peer value transfer, permissionless financial transactions, instantaneous, no middleman, free market transactions, things, independence, things of that nature. That's what I want. And so the fundamental things that will have to take place is for a lot more people to have cryptos in their pocket, for more businesses to accept it, for there to also be more popularity about it. So those things will most definitely happen. So I'm kind of shouting from the rooftop or from the mountaintop right now. I don't think it's practically impossible for you to ever have a better. I don't think there will be a better price point in the history of mankind right now for Bitcoin specifically. Simply put, this is a good time. And when you look at just traditionally or historically going back hundreds of years, obviously the thing that investors or traders want to do is buy low and sell high. But it is extremely hard to do. And that's because emotions have to do with a large part of that. It needs to be an intellectual decision to make a good educated decision. And for my own part, I've done the best that I could to do all of the research and the data. It's really not an emotional decision for me at all, but the time is, there's never been a better time in the past year to get in on it. So I'd like to suggest Reggie Middleton as a great source of information. He has what's called the Boom Bust blog. He also is the founder of Veritasium. It's a crypto coin which has it's backed by gold, and he has several products under that niche. Whenever I've listened to his YouTube videos, I've learned a lot. The guy really knows. He's very, very experienced. He was, if I can remember right, the #1 man 1 year as far as guessing or picking the best stocks. He's very, very smart. Cliff High is another individual. Cliff with one F, CLIF. His website is Half Past Human, and just that title in itself gives you a little clue. He's a little bit out there. I mean, very, very unique. He talks about extraterrestrial things, but he's had a lot of success with what he calls the web bot. It initially was a bot that he invented or developed to gather information on the internet having to do with words that are being used on the intranet, that he comprised some way of using that to guess good stocks to bet on. Also a young man known as Arcane Bear. He's a YouTuber. He's closing in. He's going for 2 million views. He's put out a lot of videos. He calls himself an adventure capitalist, and he's been able to go to a lot of different places on Earth, to some of the conferences, and to meet a lot of people. You can just tell he's all in on doing the best that he can to help others with what he's learned. He has an expertise in markets and in trading as well. He has the science down to a large degree from his own experience. So with that, I'm signing off. I wish you well, and please, if you like it and subscribe. Take care. Until next time, peace.